Finances are woven into our everyday lives and woven into short-term, medium-term, long-term financial goals. And yet no one is teaching us. Like, it's absurd. I think it's one of the most important things to teach, which is why I teach my 6 and 7-year-old financial literacy already. It's so important for women, for all of us actually, not just women, to have, be equipped to make good financial decisions for our future.
Hello, you're watching Teatime Tuesday. I'm Rashan Gidwani. Sophia is a female-focused financial education platform that empowers women to take control of their financial futures. Sophia works with corporates and financial services companies who want to offer financial education to their employees and customers. Joining me on the show today is the co-founder of Sophia, Tanya Rolfe, discussing how financial well-being can empower women to achieve greater independence. Hi, Tanya. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. On the whole, where is society as far as financial literacy is concerned?
There's a definite lack of financial education for everyone, not just for women. And I think on a global scale, we're somewhat behind where we should be. We recognize that financial literacy is so important, as are many life skills, but unfortunately our schooling systems haven't quite caught up with this. Their KPIs always revolve around academic achievements of the students versus life readiness. If we had KPIs of how life ready are your students, financial education would probably be, firmly woven into the curriculum throughout their entire schooling years. So we have a huge gap when it comes to financial literacy for men and for women. I think what happens and why we see slightly different paths. Often men will chit-chat amongst themselves, hey, what investment have you done? Have you heard about this? And perhaps they will take some action together. Still as financially illiterate as everyone else, but they have some confidence, and they do that because they're collectively kind of doing that together, and it gives them the confidence to take action, and they continue learning, as well as obviously wealth accumulating and growing their wealth. Versus women who come out of schooling and often will think, not very good at this, didn't really learn anything about this. My parents probably didn't show me anything, around money, often because the parents are ill-equipped, obviously generally speaking here, but then often those girls will shy away from taking action, and then you can see why we head off in very different paths from a very early age. And just to throw a statistic out there, which I think not a lot of people know, is that Cambridge University research has shown that most of our money habits are formed within us by the age of 7 years old. So if you haven't talked to your child before they're 7, a lot of habits already formed need to do some undoing. So you can see why it's really important to get in very early.
Wow, brilliant. 7 years old.
Yeah.
Can you describe the importance of financial literacy, especially for women, and what steps they can take to get started?
Finances are woven into our entire life, whether that's, can I afford to go to college? Can I, what job am I going to get? How do I negotiate my salary? How do I pay my rent, pay my mortgage? How do I budget? Can I save and have some money in my account in case my washing machine breaks? I need an emergency fund. Almost everything we do every day, finances are woven into our everyday lives and woven into short-term, medium-term, long-term financial goals. And yet no one is teaching us. Like, it's absurd. I think it's one of the most important things to teach, which is why I teach my 6 and 7-year-old financial literacy already. So it's so important for all of us actually, not just women, to be equipped to make good financial decisions for our future. And I think for many of us, especially women, we often feel like I can't talk about this with my friends, with my colleagues, because everyone else knows what they're doing and I don't. And actually the reality is that if you have a vulnerable conversation with a group of women, probably 90% of people feel very similar to you. So we always say at Sophia, start talking with people that you trust, that are close to you, and we expect or suspect that you'll find people just like you in the position that you're in. Set a money date with a girlfriend once a month, or 2 girlfriends, 3 girlfriends, with your partner, and set yourself some goals together. There's sometimes a confidence gap, and I think having people around you that are in the same position, that look and sound a bit like you and have the same fears, really gives you that confidence to get educated. So think about who you can trust. So if you look on social media, we would be inundated with financial influencers, but there's no barrier to entry for these individuals. So, be sensible and be logical about who you're following and who you're trusting. So pick reputable people to follow and find your people around you. That was where I would say to start.
And at least start the conversation.
Just start. It costs nothing to start. Just grab a friend and just start talking. And if it works, if you're aligned, say, hey, why don't we put this in the diary every month? I know a group of friends who do that every month. There's 5 or 6 of them, and what they do is they pick a different topic and they all go off and research that topic throughout the month. At the end of the month, they all come together. They all knowledge share, which is fantastic. They knowledge share, and then they make an investment in whatever that is that they've learned the following month whilst they're learning the next topic. It's fantastic.
Brilliant. What are the unique financial goals women face, and how can they balance short-term and long-term goals?
Obviously, fundamental differences between men and women are abundantly clear and obvious, but when it comes to finances, the height of our financial ability to earn money peaks at a different time to men. I believe it's earlier than males' career. We take more time off out of the office because for many women, we choose to have a family, and inevitably we take time out. So there's lots of different things impact our financial situation. And on top of that, we live longer. So we have a gender pay gap, so we earn less money. We're, as I mentioned earlier, investing less money. We actually sit on more than 10% of our wealth in cash more than men, so they're investing more. So we have less money, longer to live. So we've got less and we need to make it last longer. And that's a real challenge to think about. That's obviously a long-term goal, is how do I, increase my retirement fund, because I need more than my spouse, or there is just no limit to how early you should start, right? And I already have investment pots for my 6 and 7-year-old, and they monitor that every week. But even if you're 21, coming out of university, it's the time to start, to be consistent and start small, because you can afford to, because you're so young. You don't need to put all of your money into an investment at 21, 22. But starting early and building that consistent habit is key. Sectioning off your money into different asset classes based on short-term, medium-term, long-term goals. Maybe you want to buy a car next year. So you do need an investment that's going to give you some returns before next year. Not everything can go into your I'm going to retire in 50 years pot. So you need to think about your goals, and I like to do that in a vision board. So I break up a vision board into 3, next year, maybe next 5 years, and then my old lady kind of goals. I work out how much money I need for each of those 3 pots and plan my investment around that. But in order to do that, you really need to understand what all the different asset classes are. So education is key, because I need to know, if I put all of my money into equities, is that helping me with my short, medium, or long-term goals? So I need to understand that as an asset class.
Okay, I always like to say it's a marathon. Patience is key as well.
Patience is so important, so important, yeah. Which is why it's interesting. I was asked recently if People that lost a lot of money in the FTX blow up have been put off investing, and if that was a bad thing. And I actually said, well, I think a lot of people that were investing, particularly young people, didn't really have the financial education to understand long-term goals, which are also patience, and weren't thinking ahead for the future in that way. They were thinking about, how do I get short-term money? So if they are put off investing for a period of time because they've had their fingers burnt, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It might be a good time for them to step back and say, I need to get a bit more wise about investing and think through my investment strategy in a smarter way. There's so many things around us that are programming us as girls, young girls, into shying away from money. But it's time for us to break through that and say, hey, that's not cool. We need to know about money too, because no longer are we just growing up to have children and stay at home. We're growing up to have careers and probably earn a lot of money too. Asia is the fastest growing wealth accumulation hub in the world.